I used to listen to good podcasts, but everything was fine. But now I listen to this podcast because I've lost my mind. My gym partner is a podcast. My gym partner is a podcast. Yeah!
Bull shark, porcupine, I don't know what. Doing this podcast's a pain in the...
Lucy!
God,
Jesus!
Why? We were just gonna introduce Seep, our newest guest to the podcast this week. Say hello, Seep.
Hi.
So that's all the time we had for today.
Thank you for joining us. No, so Seep is our good friend here. You want to promo your YouTube or your Twitter or something?
Oh my god, yeah. Hold on, let me see. Let's see, I wrote it down. Okay, yeah, so, you know, I'm on youtube.com/paintercp. I make animations, usually about the Kirby series, so if you like Kirby, you can check that out. I also have a second YouTube account called Dumpster Seep. That's just where I post, like, other things that are irrelevant to my main channel. I'm on Twitter at HyperCP. I have an art Twitter, JesterCP. My Tumblr is DrCP. My Instagram is ToasterCP. My Cardo.tv is ButcherCP. My Curious Cat is ButcherCP. My SomberCP is my Discord. SuperCP is my Skype. ComputerCP is my Steam. And I have an account with Mojang called MineraCP.
Oh,
That's what I play Minecraft on.
What's your social security number?
Oh yeah, it's I think it starts with an I.
Oh!
Well, we're here to talk about a very special episode. This is our season finale, Kerry to Dance. It's about a school dance. We all, like, had good experiences at school dances, right?
I never went to one. What the fuck are you talking
Wait,
about?
not even one in, like, middle school?
No,
Why
I don't.
not?
I didn't care because I was playing video games. You know.
Wow.
Honestly, that's the smart thing to do because they're all optional. You don't gotta go, but you know your parents are like, "No, you gotta go. It's a school dance," and then you go every time, and it's the most miserable time in your life every single time.
It's like I think my parents wanted me to go to these things, but like when I was, you know, young and dumb, and I thought that I was cis, it was just kind of like, well, I don't have a tux.
Right.
I can't go.
Yeah,
I can't afford that. What the fuck?
I was the same way where like I didn't want to just have like a dress shirt and stuff and pants, but then I had that anyway. And like
Tuxedo shirt. Come on. You could have worn that.
Oh,
I mean,
you're right.
always...
Oh, what a goof I was. Oh, man, what an idiot. I should have worn that. It would have made my terrible, lonely experience all the much better.
All the people, I bet a lot of people would come, like, talk to you if you wore that to the dance. Oh, God. Also, like, plus, like, school dances were, like, $40. Like, come on.
Were they?
Yeah, I mean, mine was. Mine was like $40 to get in.
The first one,
like, it depends on,
the
like...
first one I went to was, like, elementary school.
Yeah, those, like, they don't, like, cost anything. I don't think.
Elementary school dance that exists?
What did you
yeah.
do? Did you, like...
Yeah, tell us, Seep.
Play?
So the at the elementary school dances, it wasn't like on like a Saturday or anything. It was more like just like, oh, once school is over, if you stick around here in this big cafeteria, we're gonna have like we're gonna put on some music. We're gonna like set up these well they like push all the tables to the side and then they put like little snacks on the tables and stuff and they start playing Soldier Boy on the little radio thing that they have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Imagining a sea of like small children dancing to Soldier Boy.
Listen. One of my greatest traumatic experiences happened at this one of these elementary school dances where they were playing Peanut Butter Jelly Time.
Oh no!
And like you know, it was of the time. You know, it was a great hit of the time, and I just got so ecstatic that I just like wiggled and danced. I don't know how I was dancing, but like everyone moved around me, like moved away just to look at me dance.
I could perfectly envision like baby Renee like moving around to the music because like for some reason, like, I know what you're talking about. Like, the way children dance, you just kind of flail your body around. Like
That's how I still dance to this very day.
I mean, same. But
I think that no school dance is like no school dance experience is complete without a moment where you go to the bathroom and cry a little bit. My senior my senior high school prom, I went with a group of people, including I went with a girl I had like a ginormous crush on, and I like for some reason had it in my head that she might like me too. And we were at the dance, and she was like looking off somewhere upset, and we were just like, "Oh, what's wrong?" She's like, "Oh, the guy I like, he's dancing with somebody else," and I was like, "Oh." The guy you like. I'll be right back. And I went to the bathroom and like cried about it.
that sounds like the worst. I'm so sorry.
You know, I had a similar school dance prom where it wasn't. There was like this guy that I liked, but you know, I didn't try to make any moves and stuff because I thought, nah, you know, he doesn't swing that way. So I just kind of like stood around awkwardly near my friends when we were just eating and just like all the dancing stuff. I just kind of just stayed away from it and looked out onto the balcony sadly. And that was my prom experience.
What about you, Steve? How was your prom?
It was on a boat.
What?
Holy shit!
What?
Well, I live in San Diego, so there's like a lot of water. Well, not to drink, but like to like swim in.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but you know, that counts. You can drink water. I'm pretty sure it's good.
You could if you wanted to. But like there was like a little bay by our school. Well, it was kind of a big bay actually, and there's a lot of boats in the bay. So on the boats in the bay, the school decided to have a prom on the boats, so you could go on the boat for the prom and do the dance at the prom. So all the students would go on the boat for the prom, and the boat was on the bay. So you went you went on the boat for the prom, and the boat would go out into the bay while the prom was happening, and you dance while on the boat on the bay and all once you get on, you can't. You had to be there the whole time. So if you were having a miserable time, you just had to be on that boat on the bay for the whole night.
On the bay.
On the bay. On the boat.
Yeah. So yeah, I dressed as Captain Toad. I had.
Holy shit! Awesome.
That's a really good way to dress.
Yeah, that's the only appropriate formal attire.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Great stuff, everybody.
You gonna ask me how mine went?
You didn't go to prom.
Yeah, but I mean, you could also ask me about my night. How did it go?
How did your night at home go? Do you even remember what you did while everyone was at prom?
I was sad. I was sad that I didn't get to go to prom because I had some friends that went, but you know, like a lot of people, they always talk about like, if you don't go to prom, you're gonna regret it. You're gonna regret it for the rest of your life. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I just sat at home and played Mario Galaxy 2 or something. I don't know. And you know, things worked out. It was great. I don't even care about high school anymore. Wahoo!
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about how Adam's school dance went, because this is quite an
Do we have to?
Yeah, do we have to talk about the episode?
No, let's talk about ourselves.
No.
How are you?
No. We have to, because I want to keep, since there's a lot of content here, because this is a two-parter. I want to keep the ball rolling, and let's just get through it, because there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, let's just get it over with.
Not like that.
Not like that.
This is a chore.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. Look. We start out in the episode, and Jake is having fun. He's dancing around all like gaily and beautifully, just like with his nice little tux.
Don't describe it that way.
I mean it in the old term. You know what I mean.
I I know what you meant. Don't describe it that way. There's nothing beautiful about it.
And he seems really excited about something, and Adam is watching in horror, and he's like, what are you doing, you know? And Jake points out that there's gonna be a school dance. Woo!
Woo!
How exciting.
And he's really excited about it, as shown by the big banner accompanying the school dance tonight with and Jake is really excited about it.
And Jake is really excited about it, and he's wearing a little tuxedo, no pants, of course,
No, of course
because we
not.
gotta.
And his signature cap, which is it still covering his brain?
Oh yeah, that's right. He has like an exposed brain under there.
Well, he did at a point, but we've also seen him without it, and he just has a disgusting old man head.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
it's.
that's right.
I think it's like a comb over.
Maybe it's like maybe his like head's like that, because and hear me out. He didn't have a brain, like a skull cap anymore, right after that one episode.
right.
Yes.
So maybe like he got a transplant.
Ah.
Maybe there was a donor, like an old, like 40-year-old who was just like, I don't need the top of my skull anymore.
I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die. I need to give this to this beautiful monkey child.
My poor
so
little
he may
monkey-sized head.
So he may live on. He may live on, and his brain will be so safe.
Oh.
Jake starts like dancing with Adam, and there's a lot of like, I don't know, he's very possessive of Adam in this episode. He's like, just two dudes at the prom or whatever.
Yeah, it's.
I also want to make mention of the fluidity of this little dance sequence.
Yeah.
As he's describing like how it's just gonna be him and Adam, just two dudes at this dance. You know, no girls or anything.
Oh yeah, I forgot to like say thanks again, James Baxter, for animating that
Oh, yeah.
dance sequence of Jake's spider monkey. It was
Okay.
really fluidly animated, and I loved it.
Really gets around in these, you know, animated greats. This one especially, you know, my compliments to the chef.
Let's see here. What else happens in this scene?
I don't know.
I don't know. Nothing. Forget it. Forget it.
No, but
see, tell us what happens.
No. What? Okay, so the dancing, James Baxter. And then, what is Adam's like? Oh no, we're not going to the dance together. Does he say that? Right.
Yeah, he's like,
That's what
I
he
want
says.
to
Right?
ask Kerry.
Yeah. I want to ask Kerry to the dance, and Jake's like, what? And
fuck girl.
a girl? Yeah.
It's like, a girl? Are you?
Jake's like,
Ow! Oh, my hand!
you broke your hand?
Oh, sorry, I was just so angry.
Jake's like, well, why would you want to go with a girl? And Adam's like, his face shrivels up like he just ate a big lemon. He's like, I like her.
That was what happened. And
It was so pathetic how he said that.
I just.
And then Jake starts like crying here, and like instead of the usual like how Adam will like when Jake starts crying, he usually kind of caves or like kind of is like, oh, come on, Jake, don't cry. This time he's like, he says something like, don't be an idiot, and then Jake's tear like sucks back up into his eye.
Don't be an idiot, Jake.
Okay, so the thing about this moment is we've kind of like, well, we've been seeing how Jake's a little manipulative, I guess, and he sort of uses an appeal to emotion to try to get Adam to do things. Here he gets called out for it, and he just like he immediately snaps back. So it's like, okay, it really is a ruse. There's he's trickster.
It's fucked up that he can just do that with the liquid in his body. That he can just suck it back up into his eyeball.
Well, what's really telling is that like Jake's like, oh, was the single tear a bit too much? And Adam just walks away. just done with this shit. And Jake says something akin to, if you never give me feedback, I'll never improve.
Yeah, I wrote that down here on my notes because I thought that was a very important line in just us discovering together Jake's like greater character and like his intentions, because like he knows, he understands all of it. Like everything that he does, he understands what he can do to improve, because he said like something like along the lines of like, Adam, if you don't tell me what I'm doing wrong, then I can't get better at controlling you, right? Like
I have
I
chills. I feel like something just like swept past me. Like I'm gonna get taken out.
Jake Spider-Monkey's ghost.
I really desperately need to talk about the like B plot of this episode.
I know it. I don't want to talk about it. We don't have to talk about the B plot of this episode. We don't have to. He doesn't need to be here.
Listen, okay? You've all given. I know how y'all feel about Henry Armadillo. I understand, but just watching these scenes with Henry and James, the little ant character, I would watch a full episode with them. I'm serious. They're like, because they're like the two losers, you know. They're like Adam and Jake, but like lower.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's an interesting dynamic they have.
Well, I like James the
loved
Ant
it.
a lot, and I think that when Henry has somebody like James to play off of, he's not as bad as he could be.
James the Ant is good. I'll always say that he's good. Henry Armadillo, at any point, I just don't like characters like him.
What, you don't like absolutely pathetic, nerdy, shriveled up characters who offer nothing to the world, huh?
God, I just feel like characters like him are the lowest of the low. Like there's no redeeming factor. Watching them is just embarrassing. And if I ever see somebody online who's being rude, I will post a picture of Henry Armadillo and say, "This is you."
Scum of my shoe.
But Henry and James are just talking about how like. Well, Henry's morning, he's like, oh, the school dance, you know, I'm no good with the ladies. I got no game. But James is really confident. And he's like, no, here, listen, I'm going to help you out. And we're going to get you a date to the dance. I know the thing with all the ladies. And then he gets, like, stepped on.
He gets stepped on in, like, a very detailed stepped on animation.
That was a cinematic shot right there. It was like a low angle. I was kind of blown away when I saw that. I was like, whoa, this is you're really seeing from his perspective. That was like, yeah, cinematic.
Yeah, he is an ant, huh?
And I don't like the implications of like what may have led to such a cinematic looking sequence of a character getting stepped on.
No, it's just funny. It's for comedy.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah,
you know what is anyone trying to say? Let's just go on.
Yeah, so Slips and Windsor are setting up like.
Hold on.
What?
Before we move on from Henry Armadillo, I just wanted to read an excerpt from my notes.
Okay.
Yes.
Henry Armadillo can't dance. Doesn't deserve love.
Oh, my heart.
All right, just wanted to get that out of my system.
But
thank you.
I agree with Seep here in their summation that like I think this B plot actually gives Henry Armadillo a bit more character that is interesting. There's some funny stuff that's done with him, and like there's a favorite part that I have with him later in the episode that I think y'all like.
Slips and Windsor are hanging up a banner that says like "One night in the jungle," and Jake's trying to convince him like, okay, like, you know, Adam's out the window, so he goes to his next best option of control, and he's like, let's go together, just us guys. And they're like, no, we're on the committee, so we like work the snack table. We're not gonna like be like participating in the dance.
Like, we're gonna be there, but like, sorry, Jake.
And Slips asks, well, why don't you ask Adam? You know?
Yeah, your friend, Adam. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
But you know, Jake mentions kind of vaguely, oh, he's asking some girl. He wants to ask some girl to dance, and nearby, who is it but Ingrid and Lupe listening in, and Ingrid is excitedly like, "Did you hear that? Adam's gonna ask a girl to the dance." Oh, and she thinks it's her. I guess for some reason.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
they have chemistry.
You know, I kind of like this montage that follows of like Adam replying in the same exact tone of voice and mundanely to Ingrid, where she's imagining like, oh, I remember all the times that he expressed such interest in me. He's got this same monotone voice. Like, hey Ingrid, you got an extra pencil? Hey, hey Ingrid, how's the weather up there?
God, that that feels out of character for Adam, like in the show, but like as like a person, it makes sense. He would say something super cool.
Oh, speaking of that montage,
Yeah.
I don't like the pool that Adam jumps in. He jumps in a pool at one point.
Oh, yeah,
and it
that's
looks
right.
like a
Yeah,
disgusting
it's a
bog.
very murky, boggy, swampy pool.
And he just jumps right in.
You think that he would like? I mean, I feel like Adam, the Adam that we know, would hesitate to jump into
Maybe-
a filthy pool like
well,
that. But
maybe that scene
Right.
wasn't necessarily the first time he did it. Like maybe he's just desensitized to it now.
maybe he likes the leech bites and like the parasites that he gets from jumping in the pool.
Oh.
Lupe's like, yeah, it's definitely you. And gets her hopes up. So,
Yeah.
Yep, that's what Lupe's there for Ingrid.
yeah, and Ingrid,
I think that Lupe has at least a bit more personality. Like, you know, even though like she's made out to be like just this hot-headed, like, you know, selfish character, I do like the bits where Lupe actually is a bit more fleshed out in that way, instead of just, oh, she's there to just say something. Like,
right. Yeah, well, I think she
I
does.
mean-
I think she does well in this episode.
A lot better than previous episodes, admittedly. I think it's good that like Lupe's actually like interacting in more of a way than just saying like,
oh,
What?
Adam is going to the school dance.
Adam,
Interesting.
I can't believe that we're best friends with the greatest person in school, Adam Lyon. So, the voicing. Is that what I had to say? Okay.
But Ingrid decides that she's gonna give Adam an opportunity to ask her. So she approaches him at his locker, and she stares at him, and they like kind of just stand there, like looking at each other in complete silence, and their like facial expressions are so funny.
It's just like a minute of like blinking and looking at each other.
I think that's why this is a two-parter, actually, to take advantage of that.
Yeah, you're probably right actually, because like that would take up like a lot of a normal episode.
Yeah, and they do it twice.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. And it like a little time card pops up that's like later that same day, and it's like still them just like looking at each other. And then Ingrid just like is like, okay, bye. And she walks off.
Bye, Adam.
And then it zooms in on Adam's face, and it's like,
I don't get it.
But Ingrid tells Lupe that, oh, he's just shy. You know, he didn't. He'll tell me eventually. And Lupe's like, yep, you're a total catch.
I also want to mention that I just really like how Lupe's drawn in this episode. He's got like a lot of cute poses and stuff, you know. They really, you know, work to like actually draw her and like include her instead of just having her be a background character.
Imagine that.
And
I
I
mean,
just like that.
you gotta you gotta give every character a little bit of representation in the season finale.
Right.
You gotta
This is
let them yeah, go
it's
on.
a, this is the grand send off to the season. Like at this point, if you're working on the show, it's the last episode of the season. You technically you don't know if you're going to do more episodes, so you really want to put everything you can. Make sure you like leave them with a good impression. Like, order more episodes, you know.
And honestly, well, not to give away too much, but I think they did that pretty
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Uh,
As a season finale, it does something that it does all the things that we would expect. It gives us a little bit of closure to some events that happened
Some
throughout
art.
the entire seasons. Yeah, some arcs. Just Adam talking to Kerry.
yeah, yeah.
Which
Well, let's not spoil too much.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Adam and Kerry at the bus stop, and Adam's trying to work up the courage to like ask her to dance, and he starts doing the exact same thing Ingrid was doing, where he just like stares at her and she stares at him, and they like kind of just like subtly change their facial expressions, and like it's funny, and the time card comes up again.
Cinematic parallels.
Yeah.
and then Adam leaves again without saying anything, and Carrie is just like boom in the same way that it did with Adam.
Yeah, and after Adam gets to school, Jake approaches him and starts like pestering him. He's like, "Oh, did you know about the student code, right? You can't bring humans here. They have to be a mineral or a vegetable or an animal."
Yeah.
Animal, mineral, or vegetable specific.
What?
And humans are animals. Jake's just using this as I mean, we know. I don't have to explain what Jake's motives are here.
Yeah.
It's just I wish he would try and be a good friend.
No, that's entirely the antithesis of Jake Spider Monkey as a character. He's obsessive, neurotic, entirely bases his life around keeping and holding friends to manipulate and elevate himself as because he's just so attention seeking. I won't get into
Leave
it.
Jake alone. You know what? You know what? All of you, leave him alone. He's a child. He doesn't know any better. He's a monkey child. I'm tired of it.
Renee, I think all the things you said are true, but I'd like to point out Jake's face when Adam's reading it. I just think it's really funny.
Yeah, that is really funny. I'm looking at it now.
I think that kind of makes it worth it. I think it makes all the manipulation, the controlling. It's just for that little face. It's a really funny face. I would sit through a million jokes about how much his butt smells just to see that face again.
You know what? Honestly, same. But Adam doesn't buy it, so Jake adds an addendum to the book that says that only humans going to Charles Darwin Middle School can attend the dance.
Yep.
And so
That's pretty much it.
But then
And-
Adam's though pretty assured though. He's like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna figure something out. Despite Jake's attempts to seduce him, he's like, no, I'm out of here. I'm gonna find a loophole to this whole situation. You can't control me anymore. Fuck you. And he storms off.
yeah, he's just standing there, and it pans out to Lupe and Ingrid behind the trees, just setting their sights on their prey.
Right. Planning their attack.
So Lupe gives the advice is just, you just gotta constantly make eye contact and laugh at everything he says.
Yeah, and then Ingrid sounds like a psycho as she's just
She's screaming, laughing.
Oh, you're so funny, Adam! That's so hilarious!
And Adam's just ah! Just runs away as Ingrid chases him down.
All right,
Yeah,
everybody.
Do you think anybody would make a Unity game of like you play as Adam Lion, right? And then Ingrid chases you around.
I think that'd be very funny. I would
It's
like
like
that. I would
Slender.
like it to exist.
It's
I
like
would-
Slender, right? It's like video
Right?
games.
Yeah. Yep.
And you gotta collect like pages for
Oh
like
yeah. Oh yeah.
of
Mr.
this,
Hornbill's class textbook or something.
Right.
I would like to see that.
I went. So in this next scene, Ingrid is wearing a gracious amount of makeup and accessories, of the likes of which I have no comparison for. I don't know how to describe this.
It's a lot. And Lupe thinks,
Oh, I get you lah.
yeah, like you look great. You're going to just make Adam like love you with this.
Right.
And then she throws a bucket of glitter in her face.
She does do that.
Blinds her.
All you need is some glitter.
She starts coughing and wheezing, and her eyes are red, and she's like, she's suffering in front of Adam's face.
She's also holding up like the tin of makeup. Like she couldn't just set that down. She had to like keep holding that, but it's just like falling over like terribly, bumping into everything.
Her wig flies off. Wig.
It's just a miserable sequence all around, and like these sequences are funny, but you know you can't help but Ingrid suffers in these
And no one cares.
She's a character that like I honestly don't want to see suffer in this show.
She's the kind you know, it's gonna be a bit controversial, but I think she's the kindest character out of all the others we've seen that
Yeah.
wants nothing more than everyone to be happy, and she suffers like this.
But we gotta get back to the real important plot, which is we're back with Henry and James.
And helps Henry Armadillo disgusting. I was just reading my notes here. Nothing here is very helpful for the B plot.
I wrote a lot of swear words when describing this
Whoa.
next sequence, just because it's awesome. Because we see, no, it's fucking awesome. Okay, because there's a praying mantis student, and her name is like Sue or something. You're like, you don't want to be with Mantis Sue. She'll eat your head. Like, trust me.
No, but like
I don't want to be eaten up. I'd hate that.
James is just like describing these people that that Henry's showing interest in, like in like a double meaning sort of thing. Is like, oh, she's like, oh, she'll bite your head off. And
What about that
um,
tall drink of water?
oh wait, there's the leech character as well, and then like James is like, oh, she'll just suck you dry, like, you know, double meaning with like the relationship thing and also the literal predators.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Animal facts with Renee. Animal facts with Renee.
Yeah, hey. You
Oh
know
yeah,
that,
let's go into
Nick-
the.
Two leeches will suck your fucking blood.
hey, whose animal fact corner is this? Do you know that it's a common misconception actually that praying mantids eat the head of their mate. It's actually only seen in situations where they're stressed. Where scientists, entomologists are filming them directly, and they're stressed by the situation, so they end up eating the first thing they see to end up de-stressing, which just happens to be their mate's head. But it's not a thing. It's not a ritualistic thing that they actually do. So there's an animal fact for you.
Huh.
That's
Oh,
good.
well, hey.
I'm
I didn't know that.
glad
I did not know
scientists
that.
need to stop filming praying mantis fucking, so they stop eating each other.
What happens next?
Yeah, he sees
know.
like a
You know.
literal water fountain.
You know, you watched it. Give us the
I don't-
details. What happens with
Oh,
Ingrid and Luffy
oh.
next?
Okay, this. Well, do we want to acknowledge the tall drink of water joke? Did we do that?
A tall drink of water. Okay, we
It's
just
a
did.
literal water fountain. It's,
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a
needs to
water
get your
fountain.
eyes checked.
Yeah.
So the next part, it seems that Lupe has built a trench.
Did she build it, or is that trench just there on the school ground?
Nah, it's obviously dug out already.
Yeah, it looks the dirt looks fresh. The piles of dirt by it. So Lupe's like, maybe Adam's just intimidated by you because of your height. So let's have you see eye to eye. So she's built a trench in the ground for Ingrid to jump inside, so that she's at eye level with Adam. Lupe also tells her to put on high heels for fashion.
Because you can't sacrifice looks.
Yeah, and Ingrid's like, isn't this? I mean, if you want me to be shorter, why am I gonna put on high heels? And yeah, oh god. So Ingrid,
Hard.
Get in the trench.
Ingrid, get in the trench. Ingrid jumps inside the trench, and I was really when I saw the trench, I sort of knew what was going on, and I was hoping that they would do this. Ingrid jumps in the trench, and she starts falling, but she keeps falling, and it keeps going on. It reminded me of the gag from season 17, episode 12 of Family Guy, Bry Robot, about Alice and
God.
Janney being tall.
You know, I didn't think. I thought that I was going to be the first person to bring this up.
We're not talking about that Family Guy joke. It's so dumb.
No.
It has no relevance.
For context for everybody, we did the Family Guy challenge yesterday, and that just means we watched an episode of Family Guy.
And the first person to laugh at it loses.
Yeah, and one of the jokes was about a tall lady celebrity, and it like pans up, and it keeps panning forever on her leg because she's tall, and they kept bringing it up.
I
Throughout
think
the
they
whole
might have
episode.
been inspired by the season finale of
Yeah.
My Gym Partner's a Monkey.
There you go. Just yet another example of the influence this show has had on popular culture, gone completely unnoticed, and that's why we're talking about this show right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
She was trying to keep up, but she trips and she like splats in the trench, and it makes a bunch of mud like get up on Adam, and Adam's like, ah.
Oh no, my clean shirt!
I can't ask Kerry to the dance, and then pans out. Kerry's right there, and she's like, "You want to ask me to the dance?" Gasp! And then we go to commercial break.
Yeah, the way this commercial break goes is really funny. Where it's just like, it goes like instantly black, and you hear the sounds of like lights shutting off, like it's a musical or something.
And scene, just like the perfect like you ended there. Oh, bravo! I clapped when it faded to black. Honestly.
We had
Yeah,
an intermission in between. We went to the bathroom, got some refreshments.
Went into the lobby. So, what'd you think of that first half of the episode of My Gym Partner's a Monkey? Kerry
Oh,
Dance?
it was really strong, I didn't think, the director is, bravo on them.
I really enjoyed the Mr. Spider Monkey's performance that time. I thought he really got in touch with his emotional side. I'm gonna go buy a poster real quick.
How much do you think it would cost to get the rights to like an episode of My Gym Partner's a Monkey to perform like a live stage play of it?
Was there ever like Cartoon Network shows that had stage tours? There had to have been some.
There were Nickelodeon ones, weren't there?
Yeah.
There was like Fairly Odd Parents live and like shit like that.
Does Scooby-Doo count? Because they did that for Scooby-Doo on Ice or something.
I guess it counts.
My Gym Partner's a Monkey on Ice.
I'm imagining right now like a very elaborate costume for like the actor who performs as Jake Spider Monkey, where like you have really long like fabric arms with like hands at the end, and like you can't really use them, you just drag them behind you. And like
Oh, I don't want to interrupt you. I
I
know
was,
you're explaining it in detail. This very important thing.
I was just gonna
Sorry.
say there's like big sticks in them, right? And you can like move them around real big.
Oh,
They're like,
do they have like extra skaters on the side who hold the sticks and move the arms?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And like they wear like all white, so they blend into the
Right.
like ice, you know?
God. That sounds like the most complicated, and just for Jake too. Like,
Wait,
Yeah.
Don't even get us started on Ingrid.
when
The-
Jake
the-
finally when Jake finally comes out of like like the place where all the ice skaters come out of, he comes out arms first. Like it's like his hands with all the skaters like flow out in a single file line, and then like he comes in between them.
The
They do, like-
Jake costume was the most complex of the costumes. It took a lot of work to put this
Here
together.
at the Jim Henson Company, we actually poured all our fun. The entirety of our business almost went bankrupt just to make the Jake Spider Monkey costume. But we found it was really worth it, as it brought in negative 2% of our gross income. So it was really worth it.
I hope the audience think this is funny. I really do.
I just like the audience. I hope. I just pray to God that I'm not the only one laughing out there. Me, the director. I don't want to be the only one laughing when Jake's hands come out onto the stage, and it's,
No.
God, it's
We
cracking
gotta
up
get back to
thinking
the
about it.
episode.
I'm so scared.
We cut back.
yeah, come back and Kerry's like,
Anyway, that was the commercial break.
Kerry's like, oh yeah, I'll go to the dance with you. Sounds fun. And Adam's really happy. But he kind of convinces her like, oh, you gotta dress up like an animal because of the theme. And he's like, that's how I'll get her in. It's perfect. And he goes back to this locker, and Jake's like trying on little bows for his tail. Man, Jake's so excited for this dance.
When's your limo picking me up, Adam?
Yeah.
He expects so much from Adam already. He hasn't agreed to anything yet.
And then Adam's like, I got it all figured out. And Jake's like, you're going with a girl. Why a girl? He's so hung up on the girl part.
Yeah, it's almost like it means something.
It's almost like he's good.
Misogynist.
We never thought of it that way.
Wow. Maybe we
both.
should take that route, because I'm starting to think that manipulator and awful, just general awful person isn't good rep for like a gay character.
Listen, he's a complex character.
Listen, you
He's
could
not
be
meant to be relatable, but he's meant to be.
He's like a real BoJack Horseman.
yeah,
Nah.
a real BoJack Horseman.
Nah, I'd compare him. Speaking about stage plays, I'd compare him to Shakespeare's Iago character from Othello. They share a lot of similar qualities, actually, where Iago is both obsessed with Othello and also wants to be rid of him.
Hold on, Renee. I have to go to the library to understand half of what you just said.
Yeah, I don't know those characters. Sorry.
I'm gonna make a video essay one of these days comparing Othello to My Gym Partner's a Monkey.
Thank
You'll
you.
all see.
Well, thank you for that.
I know they banter for a little bit, but it's kind of useless, especially because the next scene is much more exciting, with Henry and James back at it again. James is making Henry an online dating profile.
Oh yeah.
And he's like jumping all over the keyboard as Henry's like, well, I'm vision impaired. I need my inhaler. I'm stupid and an idiot.
Socially awkward.
I don't got any friends. People look at me and they just walk the other direction.
I like playing around in active traffic.
I think we're ignoring the most important, probably the most significant part of what he's mentioning here. He throws out there that he's pantsless, and that sort of made like a gear click in my brain, like, oh wait a second, because there's a previous episode, right, where it was like mentioned that Jake doesn't wear pants,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like not meant to be a normal thing that he doesn't wear pants,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Henry's butt naked.
That's right, he is. It's kind of strange.
Maybe
Huh.
maybe it's less of like just an outright societal oddity to be nude, and like with animals it's more so like a weird stylistic choice.
Well,
you know?
Lupe's naked too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But she has
So-
like she has feathers and they're colorful, so maybe like
I
there's
think
like a
it
rule-
depends on the animal, and like, you know, how so, and maybe him mentioning it, Henry mentioning it, is like sort of like leaning into the fact that, oh hey, this is just a fact about me, you know. If
I
you
don't wear
if you don't
pants.
if you don't
Imagine-
agree with that sort of lifestyle, that's okay, but that's, you know, that's just how
Imagine
I
putting
am.
that-
See,
on your
I
profile.
I don't wanna bother trying. Hey, what if Henry Armadillo is on Queer Eye, right?
What do you mean? Oh, you mean like
What?
they like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, where they like go to Henry Armadillo's like den and they're like, we're gonna dress you up and get you ready for the dance.
And he's just like, well, I'd like this chair.
Well, I like this chair. It's been in
Yeah,
my
I
family for a while. I pissed on it, so you know, I can't tear it
Well,
apart.
Henry, we're gonna have to get rid of it. I'm sorry. We brought our interior designer. He's gonna like really spruce up the place and make it look nice. You sure you don't want us to take that chair?
No, it's okay. You know, I've grown really attached to it.
I
I don't wanna get rid of it. It's been there my whole life.
To clarify, none of this actually happened in the episode.
No, it did.
But we go back from that like seemingly prophetic Queer Eye reference in the episode to Kerry. Adam's going to carry out. He's knocking on the door, and he's like, "Wow, you look so beautiful!"
Wow! 911!
His bow tie spins around.
Whenever I hear a joke like that, it's almost impossible for me to not just lose my mind.
Carrie's dressed up like a giraffe, and she looks adorable. I love her little giraffe
Yeah.
costume.
Her big giraffe costume, because it's like a real giraffe. It's big, it's long.
Yeah, and Adam is like, oh well, she's like, you're not dressed up like an animal, and like if I were Kerry and I went to this dance, I would feel so awkward and out of place, and also like worry that I'm offending somebody because I'm dressed like a giraffe and nobody else is dressed like an animal. Adam's like, I'm dressed like a penguin, and I guess she accepts it because they head to the dance, and you see
I love that. I love how it's handled. Like he's like, I'm just like a penguin, and he like spins around walking like a penguin, and it just sort of freezes for like a second or two, and like no reaction shot or anything. It just goes to the next scene.
yeah, like, what did she say to that?
I think she was just like, all right.
Let's go to the dance. Let's just
Let-
go.
Let's just go. Like God, why is she still friends with him?
Oh, she's nice. He's nice. He's funny. She probably went, hey, I love you, Adam. I love you.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what she said. So we're at the dance, and like Miss Warthog's like letting people in with their little tickets and stuff. You know, Henry and James are standing outside with like 2 extra tickets, and they're like trying to give them to people so that they can have a date. It's a stupid plan, and he ends up
This
just
is-
tearing them up.
We're
even
gonna
though-
we're gonna let the ladies choose us.
yeah.
Henry's just like, we don't have dates, do we?
We don't have dates, do we?
So they go inside to the wine night in the jungle. Woo! And Slips and Windsor are at the punch table, and Jake approaches them.
He's just like, oh man, we get a wide shot
This
of
is so.
everyone separated in tents, like girls on one side, boys on the other, and Jake's just like, oh man, isn't this just great? Isn't this the best thing? Just like the dudes on one end, just hanging out, being dudes.
It's so manly.
I don't know what Jake this episode. He's like so girl adverse. He's like, oh, I'm so glad all the dudes are on one side of the gym so we can just hang out and be dudes together. He's never been like this before.
It's strange,
You
but
think,
also affirming.
you think his father told him something?
What?
I don't want to think about his
Like,
family.
What do you think his father told him?
Just like put some like ideas into his head
What
about
do you think James Spider-Man
James?
said?
that's not his name.
There's no way that's his name.
I
Why
don't know
not?
if it is or not, but I said it.
So it is now.
Let's see. I'm curious.
Hey, call me Jim. That's James.
Is that what, do you think James Spider-Monkey
Spider-Monkey.
is voiced also by Tom Kenny?
That'd be really funny. I want an episode with that.
And then his mom
And his
is
voice is his voice
Yeah.
is SpongeBob's voice.
And I feel like that's his mom's voice. His mom is SpongeBob.
His dad
And-
is like Ice King.
Spyro.
Which is
Spyro.
Jake's kind of like Spyro.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Jake is the Spyro.
Jake is-
Steiner. Where are we going with this?
I don't
Jake
know.
Spyro Monkey.
Jake
Yeah, that
Spider-Monkey.
Is this what we worked for?
No.
So, fucking. Okay, so Windsor and Slips are talking about how it's good that they're at working the snack table because basically all the girls come to them for like the punch and the snacks, and they
All
don't
the
have.
babes come to us is something that Windsor said.
Well, yeah, Windsor's like trying to play it off, and it's like, well, we don't have to deal with like the adolescent emotional turbulence of having to deal with the ladies and having to ask them out. And then like a hot gorilla like walks by, and he's like,
Gorilla.
and all the ladies come to us,
Something that
which is the most straight thing that he said.
Yeah, I wrote down here Windsor confirmed heterosexual because did we really know before this point?
No.
We had like a theory that he was. Like,
Honestly, I was theorizing that he was asexual, but go off, I guess.
all right. But
Wait, are we having discourse? We're gonna have discourse about my gym partner's
No,
a monkey?
Lupe is on wheels.
Yeah, that's the important thing. We get a shot of like Lupe in a dress, like he's on these little wheels, and it's so funny. It's so funny. Look at it. Look at it.
Yeah, I liked it. I like how she was on wheels.
Ingrid's like looking around, and she's looking for Adam. She's like, oh, he must just be wanting to ask me at the dance here, and then, oh God, it's the worst thing
God.
happens.
Oh no.
We watch as Adam and Kerry come in. Kerry with her big giraffe outfit, and Ingrid sees in horror, and she's just so broken up by it. Her little face, she's so sad by this. Why did you have to lead her on, Adam? Why did
Well,
you?
okay, in Adam's favor, in defense of Adam, he didn't say shit to Ingrid about asking her out. He was just nice to her and like barely talked to her. And it was, you know what? It was everybody else around Ingrid who was hyping it up and all this stuff, and that was the real kicker there.
Yeah, Lupe really just fucking dug it in.
Oh my
if you're
God,
gonna be mad at anybody, be mad at her, all right, Renee?
is Lupe like Ingrid's Jake?
Oh,
I mean,
That's kind of what's happening here, right?
I mean, Jake and Lupe do get along pretty well, and I can definitely
Yeah.
see Jake loving himself. Like,
'Cause they're on the sports team together, right?
yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Some
So-
some parallels here.
perhaps that is how it is.
I
We
want
figured
Jake
it out.
attacks Kerry.
Jake-
That's the only way it can be described. After Lupe tries to fend Ingrid off of Kerry, she's like, she just says tearfully, "I never want to see that jerk again."
and
Understandably
just
so.
sad.
runs off.
But then Jake's like, "Oh, I see what you're doing here. Well, it's not gonna work," and like strangles Kerry's giraffe neck.
Just like imagine if this was like a real giraffe or just like I don't know. I mean,
Like, what
Jake-
if it was like a real like animal, and Jake was like, "Oh, I see what you're doing. It's not gonna work," and like just throttles the sexual real.
Well, I mean, it's not. It wouldn't be the first time. He's not a shy from killing. He killed Adam's fake parrot like thing that he
Oh my
used
God,
for his
yeah.
pirate costume with no
and
remorse.
then
so-
he assimilated onto his shoulder. He became a new parrot.
but Jake's calling over Principal Pixie Frog. He's like,
Principal Pixie Frog! Principal Pixie Frog!
and I think one of my favorite lines from him comes in where he rolls it on his little Segway and it's like, "The forbidden dance."
Yeah,
The forbidden dance!
the forbidden dance. No.
He's like, it's forbidden, no contact. Because oh god, it's so funny. The forbidden
Yeah.
dance.
I love Principal Pixie Frog. I feel like I gotta appreciate him every episode because he's like the funniest thing about this show. Like,
He's like
He's
the
just-
parents of Rugrats.
Yeah, he is.
yeah, yeah.
He's the Stu Pickles of my gym partner. Well,
He-
well, hey, Miss Warthog. I got a gross of eggs here.
I
A gross? PF, that's 120 eggs. Oh, oops.
want to see my gym partners and monkey characters drawn in the Rugrats art style.
And
That's
I
a
don't.
good BuzzFeed article.
That's your challenge tonight,
No.
fans.
Yeah, please.
Any
please draw.
artist who feels
No,
like
I'm putting
that's
no,
something that they would
no,
want.
no.
In the classic Class B Chupo style, please render any Mind and Partners a monkey character of your choosing.
Jake, I don't know what happens next because all I have in my notes is Jake is a fucking freak.
The Principal Pixie Frog uses his air horn to
Yeah.
stop the forbidden dance, and he just disintegrates Jake.
Mutilates him like
It's-
top to bottom.
His like tail fur is like all crinkled to like the end, and his face is like all fucked up.
Uh,
And Jake's like, "This isn't over, Adam. I'll get you and your date, and you'll have to take me on this stupid dance."
you have to.
The love rectangle here in this episode is really well established. The love diamond, if you will,
Love
the
diamond.
love romp, the
Uh,
love
from-
trapezoid.
Henry
Yeah.
and James approach Slips and Windsor at the snack table. And, the one thing I am sad about is that we don't get to see Slips and Windsor in like, anything, I guess, too fancy. Because they're, like, working snacks. And so it's not like they're wearing, like, big tuxedos, I guess. Oh, no, you know what? They
I
look
like
fine.
Slip's outfit. It's like the classic like blue like tux.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I'm, like, looking at a picture now. Windsor looks boring. He looks the same. He's the one I'm upset about.
Come on.
but like Windsor has some girls crowding around him, and Henry's like, "Oh, why? I don't understand. How do you do it?" And Windsor's like, "Oh, you just have to be aloof, my friend. It always works."
Then there's just a dumb sequence of events here that I don't want to explain too much. It's just
Oh,
Yeah.
Henry,
Yeah,
Henry,
let's-
Henry
let's-
keeps like trying to ask these groups of girl out, but he keeps using food like pickup lines or something, and
Yeah.
they
It's
just get distracted.
just
yeah.
the same fat joke in a row.
Yeah.
The one thing I did well, when you see them, they're like stomping around, and I was like, oh, okay, so James is gonna get squashed here, and that whole like, I don't know, minute-long sequence, I was just like, James is gonna get squashed, he's gonna get squashed, he's gonna get squashed, just squish him, and when they finally like get to it, and it looks like he's about to get crushed, a disco ball falls from the ceiling, and and just crushes him. I was like, okay.
The
I
ultimate joke.
want to mention here the thing I liked is like James is like, let me take a crack at him, champ, and like all throughout like James'
Oh, yeah.
interaction with Henry, he never once mentions his name, and Henry's just like, I don't think he even knows my name.
He calls him like, I think the one that got me is he calls him like, he's like, well, let me take over, chief, and then he goes to like dance.
Let me take over, chief.
This ain't it, chief.
I like the very like, I don't know how to describe the way that he talks. What is James Ant's way of talking?
It's like a
kinda like a-
transatlantic.
Yeah, I guess like an Atlantic voice. He sounds like a 50s like newscaster. He's like,
like the radio.
hello, folks, it's me, your host, James Ant.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a hot one today,
I can
fellas.
hear him on the Fallout radio.
Can someone please make a mod for Fallout 3 where it's James Ant and he has his own radio? It has to be sentence mixed. It can't be someone doing a voice. It has to be sentence mixed.
We have to sentence mix mod James Ant Fallout 3 funny parody mod.
Lupe is
The
trying
only
to
song.
listen. Lupe's trying to comfort Ingrid because she's like, "Oh, Adam's not good enough for you," and Jake, there's like he like goes over to Ingrid, I guess, like trying to trick her.
Yeah, trying to get her to like reveal like that Adam's date is not a giraffe by like he just literally says, "Can you stand by like Adam wants you to stand by his date, so you know you can show off who's the real giraffe, you know?" And she takes it as, "Oh, so he needs help deciding which one he loves more?" And the music just stops. It just stops. And Jake just looks at her and he's like, "Yeah, whatever you need to tell yourself."
I thought
That was so jarring.
I thought my video had like froze when I was watching that.
Yeah.
He's just like staring at her and the music's gone and he's like
It's dead silent, dead still.
Whatever you need to tell yourself.
So we start a giraffe-off where Ingrid and Kerry are standing next to each other.
It's first giraffe. What?
Sorry, it's just
Just the silence.
I expected somebody to pick it up a lot faster.
Sorry. Okay, but it's a giraffe off. They start off with giraffe trivia. Adam tries to intervene and is like, "Why are you doing this, Jake?" And he's like, "Hey, this is a giraffes only competition. You'll have to get off the stage." And like Miss
Get
Warthog,
off
like,
the stage, Adam.
yeah, Principal Prixie Frog says that. And so like they ask some like questions like, Kerry gets a question wrong. He asks like, how many vertebrae does a giraffe have in their neck? Which is 7. It's 7, by the way. 7
Wow.
vertebrae.
Wow, I didn't know we were in the
That's
facts corner.
Yeah,
It's
how many hours do they sleep?
2 hours.
we
Answered
go.
by Ingrid correctly.
Do they really sleep only 2 hours?
I mean, I'd believe it. Like,
That isn't the thing that our animal facts expert should say.
listen, you know my source. I just search it up.
No, don't reveal the secrets.
No.
But sometimes I already have like that knowledge, but it's like few and far between, and I might be incorrect.
After a few failed attempts, which result in Carrie's neck, a fake giraffe neck being strung up, she's like, "Well, I'm not a giraffe. She takes her head off.
Hey,
Like Jake is really getting at her. He's like, oh, could giraffe number one be an unreal giraffe? Could she be a faker who's lying to us all?
I got some information about how long giraffes sleep. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
I'm
Alright.
getting actually conflicting things here.
Did my partner's monkey lie to us?
Conflicting
hold on.
Wouldn't be the
information.
first time.
30 minutes per day.
That can't be right. That can't be right.
Can't be
And
right.
there's also one that says 4.6 hours per day in captivity. But why 30 minutes per day?
I don't believe that at all.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I've seen like a lot of animals like get to work. The 8-hour sleep schedule that us humans have is actually really unusual, in terms of like how animals do. Because a lot of animals, especially prey animals, they're more used to sleeping at small points in times in order to, be
Not
able
get
to be
eaten.
ready to run, and not get eaten.
However, humans, we have big brains that need lots of rest because our lives are so stressful.
Ingrid is like relieved to see that Kerry is a human. Oh, there's no way Adam could ever fall in love with a human. That'd be silly. And
That would
Fix the
be
camera.
we got another great Principal Pixie Frog moment here where Adam's like, "Oh, please don't kick her out." Like, and he's like, "Why would I?" He's like, "What about the addendum?" And Principal Pixie Frog's like, "There's what? No, that doesn't exist. Like, shut up. It's fine."
It's not real. Just let it happen.
And Jake
And
and Adam is like, "Oh, is it?" And he like just like zooms over to Jake, like pissed off.
it's like, Jake, you tricked me! How dare you!
How dare you accuse me, Jake Spiter, a monkey, of
So they
trying
just-
to trick you?
They just get into like a classic cartoon fist fight with like the cloud and everything.
Yeah.
And
I wrote down here actually on that. Not to cut you off. Would Adam be able to beat Jake in combat?
no.
That was a really like ballsy. That was ballsy of him. I don't know why he did that. I don't know why Adam. What? He must have been really mad. I guess. How mad do you have to be to challenge Jake Spider Monkey like that?
He's
Like,
really fucking mad.
I can't imagine how much strength Jake Spider Monkey has pent up in like that that little like body of his. Like his long arms probably store a lot of of latent power. His legs though can like very small. They probably have a lot of ability like in those too. It's just like we can't really see it.
Well,
They're
let's
not
look at it from a scientific point of view.
Animal facts.
Yeah, let's one last animal facts corner with Renee here.
Animal Facts Corner with Renee!
So, spider monkeys in real life, they're very stringy looking. They don't really look all that powerful. But Jake, on the other hand, I've said this before. He doesn't really look like a spider monkey.
That's true.
just-
He looks like a
just
monster.
looks like- He looks
Okay.
like a cross between a chimpanzee
And a
an
human.
orangutan and a human, somewhat, just with a tail.
Right.
So we could just assume that he's a hybrid of all of those things.
He's some sort of weird like powerful chimera.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like he's a chimera.
He doesn't stray away from scientific enhancements, as we've seen with the robotic arm episode, and as we will see with the cloning episode. So, he could just be a genetic lab mutant. Him and his family.
That's
Jake
mutant
Spider-
freak.
Jake Spider Monkey was a homunculus created to fight the Eldrick
What does
brothers.
he represent? What sin?
Jake Spider Monkey represents
All seven.
envy. It's envy. He's envy.
That's right.
Oh, you know what? Yeah.
He definitely is envy or greed.
Or lust.
Total
Gluttony.
bar.
Wrath.
Pride.
Can you
Pride.
imagine, like, can you imagine Jake Spider Monkey with like a sword and like an eye patch, and he's like chasing after like anime people?
Yes, I can.
But
As Jake and Adam are fighting, Ingrid, Lupe, and Kerry are like, "Oh, boys," and then I just started thinking about how much better Ingrid and Kerry would work as a couple.
yes,
And
yes.
Principal Pixie Frog like chases Adam and Jake, and it's like, "No forbidden dance."
In the end, I think it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the end, they all got what they wanted.
Honestly, I think this is like a good ending. Honestly, both Adam, like Adam, really didn't do all too bad this episode. He was kind of scummy to kind of trick Carrie, but like it was still like just so that they could get into the dance. He didn't know,
Yeah.
but I still think it's kind of scummy the way he did it.
Yeah.
I just like the ending credit sequence here, where it's like a bunch of like prom pictures.
I love that. This was like it was like the send off to the whole season. You get kind of like a sum up of different things we've been introduced to throughout the viewing of it.
Mhm.
We get the same music that played during the montage between Koala Girl and Adam.
I love that song.
It's gonna be sad when we have to like after this episode, we're gonna have to wait like for the next season to come out.
I know,
Yeah,
right? It's
the
been a
next
hiatus
arc.
for like 15
Oh.
years.
You know, Cartoon Network and their irregular airing schedules.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta wait for
gonna
the
be-
next My Gym Partner's a Monkey Bomb, am I right?
Well, let's hear some final thoughts. What did we think of this episode? In a sentence, I enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed the interpretations of characters. Could have used more slips. Okay, that's my diagnosis.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll go next if that's okay with
Yeah,
everybody.
that's fine.
This episode I enjoyed. I thought that it was a proper send off for the season. It had a lot of like, good moments with the characters. It definitely feels like, like if this was the final episode, then that would be okay.
It's not though.
Only complaint, not enough slips.
Yep. All right, sounds good. All right, Renee.
All right, so honestly, this is my ideal My Gym Partner's a Monkey episode. It really hit all the marks. It showed the conflict that Adam has with being in an animal school, but not in the way that is just hopeless and torturous for him. It ends with both Adam and Jake being at odds with each other and just kind of like duking it out because they're both flawed and complicated in that way. We got a lot of nice gags. We got James Ant, which is a very fun character that I'm glad to see have a spotlight on him on this episode. And overall, it was a lot of funny jokes, a lot of funny gags, a nice arc that it ended with, and yeah, it could have used more slips. Those are my thoughts.
All right. So
All right. Yeah. See.
I liked it.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, and that's all you really need to that's all you really need to go through. Yeah,
Yep.
like well, what does everybody think? Since we only get like this episode to really talk about it. Thoughts on the whole season, the season as a whole.
Right. I think it had a lot of like setup to do, like kind of getting us comfortable with the characters. So I think it suffered a lot from that. I remember a lot of the really earlier on episodes were kind of bad. There's been some gems though, and I'm just mostly excited for season 2, because I think as we get further along, I'll start like remembering a lot more of the episodes, because I think my memory is like with the like season 2 and 3 episodes mostly. I'm excited to learn more about the characters. I'm excited to go on this journey. Next week we're not gonna have an episode. Aww, everybody. Aww.
Oh,
Aww.
are you kidding me? We didn't talk about this before.
Listen, it'll be all okay. It'll be all right.
It'll be okay.
We'll get through it.
We won't have
Yeah,
a regular
it'll be
episode.
fine.
We are going to have a bonus episode, though, starring Renee, Gert, and Shirley, so be prepared for that.
Yes, I love Shirley.
We do, too.
It's gonna be a great episode. You'll see.
Yeah, you'll all see.
You'll get my spiel about everything here and there, and it'll be a great time. We'll have some nice theory crafting, and I think you'll like it. But honestly, I want to reflect a bit on the time we've had here on the podcast. We do some reflecting here and there, but I think this is a great time to really
Okay.
look at
Let's hear
what
it.
we've done. Ever since you brought the idea up of having this podcast, I really wanted to be a part of it. I really wanted to share my feelings with it, because I think everyone, even if you've watched the show or even if you haven't watched the show, everyone's got some feelings on My Gym Partners with Monkey. It's just
Is that
something
so?
about it. There's
Yeah,
just something about it where it's like a lot of
it's intriguing, really. A
take
monkey.
doll media, for example. It presents a lot of ideas that are incomplete, but when you like try to piece together the whole picture, you get something more horrifying than was intended. But at the end of the day, the show itself is just a mediocre distraction that you can just fall into, laugh at some butt jokes, and it runs the gamut. It's a smooth gradient between just random funny comedy show that you just look at, whatever, you don't think too much on, and a series that is rife for theory crafting and
Right.
delving too deep into it.
I really liked
And
your
honestly-
metaphor of a mediocre distraction.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
That's a really great way to describe this show. I am having a blast. I can't wait to get through the rest of the seasons. Hey, Seep,
What?
thank you for being on the show with us.
yeah. Thank you.
I don't think we asked. Give us a rundown of your feelings of My Gym Partner's a Monkey. Did you watch it growing up? Do you like it? Do you like watching it again?
Yeah. No, I well, I definitely did watch it. Oh god, this is gonna be boring. I don't know. I liked watching it when I was little. I think because I remember watching it. I remember like moments, a lot of moments from the show. I of course remember the infamous popcorn scene in the episode that was not about Backmoto.
Mhm.
I liked. There's one we haven't gotten to where Adam gets sick that I remember right now. Yeah, I don't remember if I really loved it. I don't like. I don't remember like. Oh, I got home from school. I got some apple juice. I sat down and I watched a monkey show. I don't remember anything like that. I just know that I've seen it. I know that I've seen it, but I don't know why. You know, I don't know if I liked it. I really don't know. I remember seeing like promos for it, commercials. There's one little promo. I tried to search for it online. I couldn't really find it. It was like a little music video. It was playing this like song. It was very beautiful. It had like strings and jaguar sounds in the song. I heard it on the radio once. It was like, that's the Monkey Show song. I don't know what the song is. I have no idea what the song is. It has no words. And rewatching it now, I've actually really enjoyed it. You know, I'm a fan of cartoons. I like cartoons. I think they're funny. I think it's silly to imagine going to a world where monkeys can talk and manipulate you.
Yeah.
And it's just been nice just watching these and like looking forward to like, oh, the podcast this week, like, oh, they're gonna talk about the Monkey Show. Oh, the Monkey Show. You know, my favorite food to eat while watching this is corn dogs and tater tots, and it's just become sort of like a comfort ritual. Like, oh, good, it's podcast time, but bust out the corn dogs, you know.
Aw.
This is great. I'm gonna have memories of this. Thank you so much.
No problem. You know, anytime.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll really quickly go through some comments, and then we gotta get out of here. We're taking. It costs money to be in the studio that we're totally in.
Right.
Yeah.
and it's not our money.
It's not our.
Jake's.
So here's a comment from Noir on our last YouTube video. I hate that the Principal Pixie Frog dialogue gave me genuine emotion and made me tear up. Thanks, Principal Pixie Frog, for helping me, I guess.
Well, anytime, you know, I'm always here. I know we have a school guidance counselor, but I like to think of myself as a source of aid for any kids out there feeling dysphoria, feeling these feelings that you really can't go to your parents or anybody else to.
As a
I'm here for
principal, I think it's appropriate for me to be there for all my students, not just a representation of the faculty and the entire student body, but also to be there for you as the individual. I know it's hard. You can get through it.
Thank you, Principal.
Who wants to read the next one?
I don't know.
I'll read it. Jasper Montague writes, first we had trans girl rep with the Peafowl theater kid, and now we have trans guy rep with Principal Pixie Frog. This is the most progressive show ever made. And, like, I wanted to mention it. Yeah. Trans girl Peacock. We got, yeah. But I also wanted to mention, looking at, like, the background shots of the characters in this episode, there was a bull character wearing a dress that I don't think any of us like mentioned really, but like I just thought, wow, that's interesting.
So nice.
Is it perhaps cartoon not understanding that bull normally not but
No,
yeah.
I don't think that's it. No.
Yeah, you're probably right. Or, it's just,
But
it's good. It's good representation.
It's not a nice little look. I'll put it up here. Yeah, it's
there. It is.
Nice little.
Who wants to read our last comment?
I guess no.
I
Well,
will.
see you next week.
Come on.
You can read it, see.
No, well, come on. Hey, how about I read the first half? Yeah.
Okay, y'all can switch off. Okay, who's it by?
Okay.
What?
See,
You're gonna read first half, right?
Who's it by?
Oh
Where's the
yeah,
comment?
I said
the
I'd
comment?
read it. Okay. Taylor bear emoji writes, and I'll change the voice not to confuse viewers. So this is not me saying that. This is Taylor saying this.
I can't believe we went from last week's episode saying Principal Pixie Frog is a...
That's where you come in, Kurt.
Republican. To this week, saying Principal Pixie Frog is trans. What a character arc.
It's honestly, it's quite a shock, but like, like this show, it's a show full of surprises, and honestly, I'm glad we could see Principal Pixie Frog through this transformation.
Yeah,
we
I
could
think
see him like through his struggles of like trying to be a good principal, and see him really grow as a character.
I think it's important to realize that our feelings about certain characters and certain aspects of the show are fluid and not necessarily set in stone. Because like the show, and its characters, we're growing along with it.
Yes, and Taylor, Taylor at Pirate Shinani also drew some very lovely stuff. They've drawn their gym partners, a monkey Sona before. I don't know if we ever put that on here, but she's like this little red panda, I think. And so she also has recently drawn herself hanging out with Principal Pixie Frog and added us in that. So that was awesome. It's her and Principal Pixie Frog going grocery shopping, and then I think playing Smash Brothers. It's really funny.
It's so adorable, honestly. It made me feel something. Look at this art. It's like, well, Now I want to hang out with Principal Pixie Frog
I want to play Super Smash Brothers with Principal Pixie Frog.
and eat some cheese bugs.
Cheese bug.
And
I guess that would be nice.
then at Sleepy Nook also drew some other.
Moving on from that, we get an image of Mr. Hornbill asking Mrs. Tusk for spare coochie, Mrs. Tusk.
Spare coochie.
Spare coochie. Well, spare coochie, Miss.
I know you're a married woman and all, but please, this is all I get.
Mr. Tusk doesn't need to know.
well, and with that, I think we need to go. So
What
thank you,
a
everybody.
great way to end it off.
Thank you for
Our
joining
season
us. Our
finale.
season finale. It's so exciting. Next week, bonus episode. The week after that is when we're going to be doing the season 2 first episode's list switcheroo, and I got a new aptitude, which kind of rhymes in a way. It's always leave comments. You can reply to us on Twitter. You can reply to us on the YouTube. You can send us art that you've drawn of my gym partners at Monkey Sona, which we would love to see more of those. If you have any questions, ask us, blah, blah, blah. Good night, everybody. I'm Lucy.
I'm Gert.
I'm Renee.
Yep.
See, this is where you introduce.
I get to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm Seep.
Well, thank you,
And
everybody.
this has been Migpap. Thank you for watching.
Big bye, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.